42 minutes. That is exactly how long I stood under the arrivals sign at Minneapolis St. Paul International Airport before I finally let myself admit the truth. My coat was folded neatly over my left arm because I didn't want to crease the wool. My suitcase was standing obediently beside my good shoes, the black leather ones with the low heel that I only wore for church or weddings. I checked my watch. 3:52 p.m. The sliding doors opened and closed, spitting out families who were screaming with joy, fathers hugging daughters, toddlers running into grandmother's arms. I smiled at them. I kept my posture straight. I didn't want to look like a woman who had been discarded. I stood there like a misplaced package that no one had come to claim. My phone buzzed in my hand and my heart leaped. Greg, I thought. He's just late. The traffic. The turkey burned. Something. But it wasn't a text. It wasn't a call. It was a notification from social media. A little blue icon that popped up to tell me my daughter-in-law, Meline, had just posted a photo. My thumb hovered over the screen. I don't know why, but my stomach dropped. A coldness sharper than the Minnesota air washed over me. I opened it. And there they were. The photo had been uploaded 3 minutes ago. My son Greg in the navy sweater I knitted him last Christmas. Meline holding a glass of white wine, laughing with her head thrown back. My grandchildren Elliot and Ruby, crowded around the biggest turkey I'd ever seen. The caption read, "Full house, full hearts. Happy Thanksgiving from our family to yours." I zoomed in. I wish I hadn't, but I did. I looked at the table settings. 12 plates. 12 chairs. Every single one of them occupied by friends, neighbors, Meline's parents. There wasn't an empty chair waiting for me. There wasn't a place setting missing a guest. They hadn't forgotten to pick me up. They had replaced me. I didn't cry. You might think I would, standing there amidst the holiday rush, but tears belong to people who still have hope. I didn't have hope. I had clarity. A kind of brutal, icy clarity that only comes when the last illusion is shattered. I looked at that photo one last time, at my son's smiling face, and I felt something snap in my chest. Not a bone, but a tether. The invisible cord I had been holding onto for 40 years. I turned off my phone. I took the handle of my suitcase. And I walked away from the pickup curb. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew one thing. I was done waiting. The air outside the terminal was biting. That gray, flat Midwestern cold that seeps right through wool. I walked for 20 minutes. My feet, in those sensible heels, began to throb, but the physical pain was a distraction. It was almost welcome. It kept me from thinking about the photo. Full house. Full hearts. While I walked, I thought about the phone call 3 days ago. Greg never calls unless there's a bill he forgot, or a birthday he needs money for. But his voice had been different. Syrupy. Smooth. "Hey Mom, what are you doing for Thanksgiving?" I told him the truth. I was going to roast a small chicken, maybe watch It's a Wonderful Life and enjoy the quiet. "Oh Mom, that sounds so lonely," he had said. The concern in his voice sounded almost real. "The kids were asking about you. It just wouldn't feel right without you here. Why don't you fly out? We want you here. We want you here." Do you know how seductive those 4 words are when you live alone? When your bridge group is shrinking because friends are passing away. When the phone only rings for telemarketers. I am a sensible woman. I balance my checkbook to the penny. But that day, I let my heart make the decision. I spent $600 on a last-minute ticket. I dipped into my emergency fund, the money meant for a new water heater. I told myself seeing my family was an emergency. It was an emergency of the heart. I packed my best cardigan. I bought Ruby the book she liked. I bought Meline those expensive dark chocolate truffles she pretends not to like but always eats. I packed every ounce of softness I had left. And now I was walking past the taxi stand, past the shuttle buses, dragging my wheels over the cold concrete. I saw a neon sign flickering in the distance. Tina's Diner. It looked like a place that time had forgotten, squat beige with paper turkeys taped to the windows. I pushed the door open. The bell jingled. A cheerful sound that felt entirely wrong for the moment. It smelled of hot grease, old coffee, and cinnamon. "Happy Thanksgiving, hun," the waitress said. She looked tired, her ponytail slightly askew, but her smile was genuine. "Same to you," I said. My voice didn't shake. I was proud of that. "Table for one?" she asked. Yes. Just one. I sat in a vinyl booth that had a patch of duct tape in the corner. I ordered a slice of pumpkin pie and tea. When it came, I stared at it. No fine china. No linen napkins. Just a thick white plate and a fork that had been washed 1,000 times. I took a bite. It was perfect. Spicy, sweet, warm. I checked my phone again. No missed calls. No "Where are you, Mom?" texts. It was 4:30 p.m. They were eating. They were clinking glasses. Greg was probably carving the turkey, making that joke he always makes about the surgeon's precision. I put the fork down. I am not a spare part, I thought. I am not a placeholder. I am not an accessory you invite to make yourself feel benevolent. I ate the whole slice. Then I ordered another one to go. "You have a good night, sweetheart," the waitress said when I paid. She called me sweetheart. My son hadn't called me anything in months besides Mom, followed by a request. "You too," I said. And I meant it. I found a motel 2 blocks down. The Valley Inn. It was the kind of place you see in movies where people go to hide or to disappear. The carpet was a suspicious shade of brown, and the heater rattled like a dying engine, but it was warm. I sat on the edge of the bed, still in my coat. Finally the phone began to buzz. 5:15 p.m. Greg. 5:20 p.m. Melanie. 5:22 p.m. Greg again. Then a text. "Mom, where are you?" "We're at the airport." I stared at the words. "We're at the airport." Lies. If they were at the airport, who was eating the turkey in the photo? Who was drinking the wine? I didn't reply. I turned the phone off completely. I didn't want to hear the excuses. I didn't want to hear the panic in their voices. Not panic because they loved me, but panic because they had lost control of the narrative. Panic because the sweet old grandmother had gone rogue. I pulled out a notebook I keep in my purse for grocery lists. Clicked my pen. And I wrote. I didn't write a suicide note. I didn't write a hate letter. I wrote a list. The mortgage co-signing in 2010. The transmission repair for Greg's truck, 2015. Ruby's private preschool tuition. The down payment on their second car. The loan for Melanie's credit card debt. I filled 3 pages. Thousands of dollars. Decades of sacrifice. I looked at the numbers. They were staggering. I had subsidized their lifestyle for years, thinking I was buying love. Thinking I was buying a seat at the table. But love isn't a transaction. And you can't buy respect. I slept in my clothes that night. The sheets were scratchy, but I slept better than I had in years. I woke up with a stiff neck and a heart that felt like it had been scrubbed clean with steel wool. Raw but sterilized. The next morning, Black Friday, the world was obsessed with buying things. I was obsessed with getting rid of them. I turned my phone on for 30 seconds. Just long enough to book a flight home. I had 17 missed calls. Voicemails from Greg sounding frantic. "Mom, please pick up. We're worried. Melanie is crying." I deleted them. I flew home. I didn't look out the window. I stared at the seat back in front of me and planned. The flight attendant asked if I wanted pretzels. I said no. I was hungry for something else. I was hungry for justice. On Monday morning at 9 a.m. sharp, I walked into my bank. I wore my navy cardigan. I had brushed my hair and put on lipstick. "Good morning, Mrs. Wexler," the teller said. "How can I help you?" "I need to speak to the branch manager. And I need to stop all automatic transfers. Immediately." An hour later it was done. The monthly transfer to Greg's account? Cancelled. The college fund contribution for the kids? Frozen. The auto pay on Melanie's car insurance? Stopped. "Are you sure?" the manager asked, her hand hovering over the enter key. "I have never been more sure of anything in my life," I said. "Cut it." Next was the lawyer. "Mr. Altman has known our family for 30 years. He looked at me over his reading glasses, his office smelling of old paper and dust. "You want to change the will, Irene?" "I want to rewrite it," I corrected. "Everything. The house, the savings, the stocks. Greg gets nothing. Melanie gets nothing." Mr. Altman paused. He didn't look shocked. Lawyers rarely are. He just looked sad. "And the beneficiary?" "Emma," I said. "Emma. My step-granddaughter. Greg's daughter from his first marriage. The one they barely mentioned. The one who was 23, putting herself through nursing school, working double shifts at a diner not unlike Tina's. The one who sent me handwritten letters every month, not asking for money, but asking how my garden was growing. She's the only one, I told Mr. Altman, who ever asks how I am, not where my checkbook is. It will be done, he said. It took 3 days for them to realize the money had stopped. I was in my garden, deadheading the last of the chrysanthemums, when Meline's car screeched into my driveway. It's a 3-hour drive from their house to mine. She must have driven like a maniac. She stormed out of the car. No hello. No, I'm glad you're safe. Irene, what is going on? The bank rejected the car payment. We got an overdraft notice. She marched toward me, her heels sinking into the soft earth of my lawn. I stood up, wiping dirt from my gloves. Hello, Meline. Don't hello me. Greg is losing his mind. We've been calling you for days. Where were you? Why did you leave Minneapolis? I looked at her. Really looked at her. I saw the panic in her eyes, but it wasn't fear for my safety. It was financial terror. I saw the photo, Meline, I said quietly. She froze. What photo? The full house photo. The one with the turkey. And the wine. And the 12 people sitting at the table while I was standing at gate 3A. Her face went pale then red. That was just for social media. We didn't mean. Irene, Greg thought your flight was Friday. It was a misunderstanding. Stop, I said. I didn't shout. I just held up a hand. If you thought I was coming Friday, why was the Thanksgiving dinner on Thursday? Why was every seat full? If I was coming Friday, wouldn't you have saved the celebration? She opened her mouth then closed it. The lie was too big to swallow. You didn't want me there, I said. You wanted the idea of me. You wanted the grandmother who sends the checks and brings the gifts, but you didn't want the woman. You didn't want the inconvenience. That is not true. We love you. You love what I do for you, I corrected. And I'm done doing it. You can't just cut us off. We have bills. Ruby's tuition. Ruby has parents, I said. Capable, able-bodied parents. I suggest you figure it out. Irene, please. Her voice cracked. She reached out to touch my arm. I stepped back. Get off my lawn, Meline. She left. She cried, she screamed, she threatened, but she left. The silence that followed was heavy, but it wasn't empty. It was filled with the sound of my own breathing. Greg called that night. I answered. Mom, he said. He sounded like he had been crying. Or maybe drinking. How could you? I could ask you the same thing, I said. It was a mistake. We got the dates mixed up. Greg, I said, cutting him off. I am 72 years old. I am not senile. And I am not stupid. You didn't get the dates mixed up. You just didn't care enough to check. I'm your son. And I'm your mother. Which is why I'm doing this. I raised a man who thinks it's okay to leave his mother on a curb. I failed you, Greg. By making it too easy. By fixing everything. I'm not fixing this. I hung up. I went to the kitchen. I made myself a cup of tea. I sat at my small table, the one that fits just 2 people. And then I did something I hadn't done in years. I cried. I cried for the little boy who used to bring me dandelions. I cried for the family I wanted to have. I cried for the illusion I had lost. But when the tears stopped, I washed my face. I looked in the mirror. The woman staring back was older, yes. Her eyes were puffy. But she was standing on her own 2 feet. 2 weeks later, there was a knock at the door. I didn't expect anyone. I tightened my robe and peeked through the curtains. It was Emma. She was wearing a thick coat and a beanie, her nose red from the cold. She had taken the bus. I opened the door. Emma. Hi, Grandma, she said. She looked nervous. I got a letter from a lawyer? Mr. Altman? He said something about a trust. I pulled her inside. Come in, it's freezing. I made her cocoa. We sat on the couch. I don't understand, she said. Did something happen? Is Dad okay? Your dad is fine, I said. Physically, anyway. Then why did you do this? The letter said I'm the sole beneficiary. I took her hands. They were rough, chapped from washing them 100 times a shift at the hospital. Because, Emma, last month when I broke my toe, you were the only one who called. Not to ask for a loan. Just to ask if I was in pain. That's just normal, Grandma. No, I shook my head. In this family, it is extraordinary. She stayed for the weekend. We played Scrabble. We baked cookies not because we had to, but because we wanted to smell the vanilla. We talked about her nursing classes. We didn't talk about Greg. We didn't talk about the money. On Sunday before she left, she hugged me. A real hug. The kind where you hold on tight because you don't want to let go. You're not alone, Grandma, she whispered. I know, I said. I know that now. That was 3 years ago. I still live in my house. My garden is flourishing. I haven't spoken to Greg or Meline since that day. I hear things through the grapevine. I hear they had to downsize their house. I hear they actually have to budget now. I hear Greg is finally learning that money doesn't grow on grandmothers. Do I miss them? Sometimes. I miss the idea of them. I miss the what if. But I don't miss the waiting. I don't miss the standing at the airport, feeling like a misplaced package. Emma comes to visit every month. She graduated nursing school last spring. I sat in the front row, cheering louder than anyone. We spent Thanksgiving together this year. Just the two of us. We didn't have a massive turkey. We made lasagna. We drank cheap wine and laughed until our sides hurt. I look at the photo Meline posted that day sometimes. I kept a screenshot. Not to hurt myself but to remind myself. It reminds me that a full house doesn't mean a full heart. It reminds me that dignity is quiet. It doesn't shout. It just walks away from the curb and buys its own pie. If you are listening to this, and you are holding onto a rope that is burning your hands, I want you to listen to me. Let go. It is scary. The fall is terrifying. But you will land. You will land on your own feet. Don't wait for the invitation that never comes. Don't wait for the phone call that only happens when they need something. You are not a spare part. You are the engine. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do for them and for yourself is to stop fixing it. My name is Irene. I am 75 years old. And for the first time in my life, I am exactly where I am supposed to be. Be happy, like, share, and comment. Thanks for watching.